Welcome back to another episode of Angry Bitter Woman, the podcast where we dive deep into the issues that make our blood boil and challenge our perspectives. I'm your host, Gretchen Jennings, and today we're discussing the Netflix documentary series, Dallas Cowboy Cheerleaders, America's Sweethearts. Buckle up, folks, because this episode is going to be a roller coaster of emotions and revelations. Let me first share a quick history of the Dallas Cowboy Cheerleaders, or DCC as they're often called, were established in 1960, the same year the Dallas Cowboys football team was founded. Initially, the squad was a typical cheerleading team composed of high school students who cheered from the sidelines. However, everything changed in the early 1970s when the team began to revamp their image. Enter Tex Schramm, the Cowboys' general manager at the time. Schramm had a vision to transform the cheerleaders into a glamorous professional dance team that would captivate audiences and boost the team's entertainment value. He wanted something that would set the Cowboys apart, not just on the field, but the stands as well. Schramm's vision led to the creation of the modern DCC with the iconic sexy uniforms and high-energy dance routines that we associate with them today. This transformation wasn't just about entertainment, it was also a strategic business move. Schramm recognized that the cheerleaders could enhance the team's brand, drawing more fans to the games and increasing overall revenue. And he was right. The DCC quickly became a sensation, known as much for their dazzling performances as for their striking goddess beauty. Let's talk about Tom Landry, the legendary head coach of the Dallas Cowboys. Landry, who coached the team from 1960 to 1988, had a more conservative and traditional view of football. He was initially skeptical about the glitzy transformation of the cheerleading squad. Landry was known for his strict discipline and focus on the game, and he didn't see how the flashy new cheerleaders fit into that jam. Despite his reservations, Landry eventually accepted the new direction, recognizing the cheerleaders' role in enhancing the game day experience for fans. However, it's clear that he maintained a respectful distance from the sexualized spectacle, focusing primarily on his players and the sport itself. The ownership of the Dallas Cowboys has also played a significant role in the evolution of the cheerleaders. When Jerry Jones bought the team in 1989, he continued to promote the DCC as an integral part of the Cowboys brand. Jones is a businessman through and through, and he saw the financial benefits of maintaining and expanding the cheerleaders' visibility. Under his ownership, the DCC had become global ambassadors for the Cowboys, participating in USO tours and making numerous television appearances. However, it's not all glitz and glamour. The cheerleaders have also faced criticism and controversy over the years, particularly regarding their pay and working conditions. Despite their significant contribution to the team's brand and revenue, the cheerleaders have historically been underpaid, a point of contention that has sparked debates about gender inequality and exploitation. So let me set the stage here. When I first heard about this show, my initial reaction was a hard pass. I mean, the idea of watching a bunch of young, gorgeous, half-dressed women prancing around, no thank you. It reminded me of something a friend once said after attending a Cowboys football game. I don't want some half-dressed girl dancing and prancing around in front of my husband. And honestly, I felt the same. Who wants to feed into those self-conscious feelings? But then the buzz on TikTok got me curious. People were talking about the series and the abysmally low pay these cheerleaders receive. So in a fit of insomnia, I started watching at 10 o'clock on a Sunday night. Fast forward to 4 a.m., and I was hooked. And for reasons I never expected. So now, about the key players in this docuseries, starting with Kelly Finglass, the director of the DCC. She's been in it since 1991, a long tenure that raises eyebrows, obviously. Put into place as the cheerleader assistant who ultimately answers to the nepotism of, entitled like no other, aging daughter, Charlotte, of Arkansas backwoods owner, Jerry Jones. It's very evident Kelly is owned and brainwashed by these people. She only sings their praises. Some might say smart, I say brainwashed. Kelly comes across as a sadist to me, to have remained in this role for so long. She and her sidekick Jay are the ones that have to cut the girls after they seemingly gave months of their lives over to just the possibility of making the squad. In some scenes, she speaks of having to make cuts tonight with some noticeable excitement instead of trepidation. After the women are selected through a gut-wrenching process, which would leave any human wondering, should I still exist if I'm not as desirable? She does appear to conjure up a protective nature towards the women. Of course, one is left to wonder inside this organization if any motives towards other people are ever out of genuine concern. After all decisions are made to benefit the Jones family only. Charlotte Jones. This woman is the true epitome of nepotism, greed, and sadism. Total dynasty vibes. Aquanet called it wants its hair back, Char. We get to see her lavish office, white carpet and all, several times during the show, and the audience is left to imagine what work actually goes on in there. I guess she goes in there while they film to pretend she's productive. It's clear that making her misogynist daddy even richer is the one true priority. If that means having a 37th position cut instead of 36 because the immensely talented and beautiful candidate is too little, by God, she'll be cut. But not only has her cut, her sadist daughter walked the last two victims to be cut to Kelly with a sinister smile on her face. It seems to me like they like seeing these women in pain. Jealous much? They know money can't make them as desirable as these amazing young women. Charlotte kept talking about how important the cheerleaders are to the family, but still pay them $15 to $20 per hour. They all have second jobs. What the fuck? You are a fucking billionaire, Char, and continued to stress that these women do it for other reasons than money. Easy for her to say. She's exploiting these women for the benefit of their brand. Charlotte could be changing the landscape everywhere for professional cheerleaders. Pay increase, but she chooses to subscribe to the Texas Good Old Boy system and promote another gender in her daddy, always above that of hers. Money is clearly the top priority, way more than people, and this comes across crystal clear. Victoria, a cheerleader, with her huge, toothy, megawatt smile and all over bleached hair. I've picked up on a possible social disorder with her. I mean, she admits to struggling mentally. At first, I didn't think I liked Victoria, but as she became more vulnerable about her cycles of depression, I could definitely relate more. Her ultra-close relationship with her mom seemed cringy, but then you get to see her interactions and see how she has trouble connecting to other women on a fake level. Then their relationship makes more sense. Again, I could identify with these dynamics. I ended up caring a lot about Victoria. I was proud she decided to leave the DCC and not try out again. One of the most poignant moments in the series was when V shared the dichotomy of the dream of being a Dallas Cowboy cheerleader was also the thing that is hurting her and provides pain, as her depression is influenced by the stress of the Cowboys' expectations, and her eating disorder stems from the depression. Reese, another cheerleader, other than this being the same name and spelling as my own son's name, I genuinely started to care about Reese, too. She was so cringy Christian at first, it it almost made me want to throw up in my mouth a little. But as the series plays out, Reese does seem like a genuinely sweet person. And then we get to meet her fiancé, as she's never had a boyfriend before, and see that he's not even in the same stratosphere as her, much less the same league. But her Christian upbringing makes the godliness in a man stand out more than looks. And this is completely evident here. It was surprising that she left Alabama and her man to pursue her dream. As a woman, I have a lot of respect for another woman uprooting herself for what she really wants. I ended up loving Reese and her kind heart, even if the brainwashing was clearly evident. I can overlook cringy Christian if the person is kind. Plus, she is truly naturally beautiful and has a $1 million smile. Kelsey, the last cheerleader I'll talk about, is quite possibly one of the most beautiful women I have ever seen. Not just because of her outward beauty, up there and similar to Megan Fox, with flowing raven locks and piercing blue eyes, but also because she's a nurse to a special needs and critical care little girl who is dying. Watching her crawl into the bed and hold this child in her arms and talk about changing her trach tube doesn't seem to parallel the glamour and notoriety of being a Dallas Cowboy cheerleader, but it does because she is that much of an exceptional person. Needless to say, I fell in love with Kelsey too. She also gave an idea of the toxic masculinity they face on the daily when she described how a deranged fan put a tracker on her car and followed her home. She explained how living in fear has taken her mental peace. And during her interview, the lackluster in her eyes gave way to an obvious encounter with terror. Very few men were filmed for this show. Of course, owner Jerry Jones had a few sound bites and was intermittently added as his narcissism demands. This man is despicable to me. His love for himself and greed makes his presence anywhere annoying. All I have to do is remember how much he charges for parking at a game, $50 to $600, even though the Cowboys haven't been to the Super Bowl since 1993. America's Sweethearts also shows him with his grandkids, and all I could think is he won't acknowledge his own bastard granddaughter, who sits outside the family like fringe. I'm sorry, daughter, not granddaughter. Charlotte probably won't allow their relationship. Gross. Emmett Smith made an appearance when he came to talk to the girls and sang his own praises while he was there. One truly hilarious moment when he leans into them and they're sitting on the floor like a harem, and he says, "Imagine being on a team that goes to the Super Bowl." This is when I lost it, and I knew they had to be squelching laughter. I would have said, "Good one, Emmett. Way to get them to dream," howling with laughter. And as a forlorn Cowboys fan myself, I mean, come on, Emmett. As I sleepily reached for the remote and an off button at 4 a.m., it was undeniable that this documentary is a very thought-provoking series. I was made aware of how my stereotypes towards women and my own self-consciousness almost made me not watch it. Once you get past their beauty and perfect bodies and seriously sick dancing talents, they are real people just like us, most definitely role models. They didn't give up on their dreams like I have done 100 times over. They remained gracious and kind, even when criticized about their talent, looks, and imperfections by Kelly. They stayed motivated and determined for months, even when they weren't sure they had made the team. I was not prepared to like and care for these young women like I do now. My favorite moment after the DCCs had practiced and meticulously performed the thunderstruck routine, where they jump into the air and land in splits on the turf. Ouch. They performed at the opening game, and I was so invested by that point that I felt chills and cried when it was over. They looked like superwomen. They had a flawless performance. After hours upon hours of work, I felt like a proud mom. Now it's time for my rant of the week. Why on earth can't a billionaire team pay their cheerleaders enough so they don't need a second job? Football players are rolling in cash, while these incredible women are paid peanuts. It's infuriating and emblematic of the broader issues of gender pay disparity and exploitation. Another aspect of this topic occurs to me during June, Pride Month. It is clear that the Dallas Cowboy Cheerleaders are expected to be sexy. Their boobs are on view and shorts barely cover their asses. They twerk, shake, and bend over often, very much on the jumbo screen for kids to see. How is this less sexual than a daytime drag show? It's not. But since men deem this entertainment enjoyable, it's allowed at the game and considered wholesome. Wholesome? How? Because it's women? Men are not allowed to be sexualized in any way in front of straight men, unless it's tight-ass fitting football pants. Where do you think the term tight end comes from? Latent gay tendencies. We see it in every male sport, especially wrestling. OMG, that sounds like a whole new topic for a show. Anywho, that's all for today's episode of Angry Bitter Woman. I hope this discussion has made you think, maybe even made you a little angry. Don't forget to subscribe, leave a review, and share your thoughts on our social media. Until next time, stay angry, stay vocal, and never stop questioning.